During the past 10 years, there have been about 167 murders by guns. On April 16, 2007, 32 people were killed in Virginia Tech.
On November 5, 2009, 13 were killed at Fort Hood, Texas.
On December 14, 2012, 27 people were murdered in Sandy Hook Elementary School.
On June 12, 2016, 49 people were killed in Orlando, Florida.
Spikes here, for example, this was in 1984. This was the San Ysidro, California McDonald's shooting, which a whole bunch of people were killed there. You can move on to some of the other big landmark ones, which many of us remember. Columbine High School, 1999. And then if you move all the way down here, you get into this big block down at the end here where you have Virginia Tech as part of this. You can go beyond Virginia Tech and talk about what happened at Sandy Hook School and, of course, what we just had at the Navy Yards.
About 91 people die every day due to guns. 31 are murdered, 56 suicide, 2 people die from unintentional causes, 1 from undetermined intent, and 1 from legal intervention.
Due to the loss of many Americans in mass murders, people have been discussing the Second Amendment and our gun laws in action.
Some support gun control and say that the government needs stronger enforcement, but others say that their power to own firearms are being taken away.
We think gun control is one important issue for the new president and Congress to address in 2017.
But what is gun control? Gun control is a set of laws or policies that regulate the manufacture, sale, possession, and use of firearms by civilians.
There are many laws within gun control. For example, in 1968, Congress passed the Gun Control Act, or the GCA. This legislation regulated interstate and foreign commerce in firearms, including importation, prohibited persons, and licensee provisions.
Still, with many gun control laws, many deaths by guns are still happening.
One way to solve a problem of mass murders is to enforce the law of background check.
Background checks can prevent suicides. In 2010, 38,364 people had suicided with a gun. The checks can check if you have any difficulty in life, if it's financially, or if you have health problems, so it can prevent you from buying a gun.
Do you think background checks should be mandatory?
Yes, absolutely. We don't want guns in hands of people who are not responsible, who have a criminal background, and we want to make sure that they are very responsible individuals that should have these weapons or can handle it and use it legally and properly.
Even though we have background checks, gun shop owners can get around them. They have the ability to go to gun shows, which don't require background checks.
In gun shows, anyone can buy a gun, whether it is a criminal, fugitive, or a civilian. The shoppers bypass the most important item in gun control, background check. These abilities let guns fall into the wrong hands, creating the many mass murders that happened over the past years.
If the FBI is watching you for suspected terrorist links, you shouldn't be able to just go buy a gun with no questions asked. And you shouldn't be able to exploit loopholes and evade criminal background checks by buying online or at a gun show. If you're too dangerous to get on a plane, you are too dangerous to buy a gun in America.
However, some gun control laws state that landowners are able to contract that their land is gun-free.
Even if this sounds very safe, it also disables the ability to protect people against guns. When one's on the property, someone with a gun can ignore the gun-free sign and start threatening people.
However, people with guns can take it out and protect the people around him or her.
So when you think about the pros and cons of a gun-free property, you have to first consider what property are we talking about? Are we talking about a private home? If it's a private home, then there are definitely pros that need to be considered. The ability to protect oneself and one's family is a fundamental right in our Constitution, and it's one that should be taken very seriously. With that said, accommodations have to be made and safeguards have to be put in place to ensure that innocent people do not hurt themselves while accidentally stumbling upon a weapon or misfiring a weapon. I'm thinking about children and people that may grab hold of the weapon and not know what to do.
In America, you can see two sides developing about gun control. No to gun control and yes to gun control.
The people who say no to gun control bring the Second Amendment as their defense.
The Second Amendment states that a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Furthermore, gun control laws will not stop criminals from obtaining guns. With gun control, it wouldn't be both citizens and criminals not having guns, but the criminals will have guns and the citizens wouldn't.
The pro-gun control side states that gun control can also lower many, not all, deaths by guns. Background checks should be mandatory.
That's a tough one. I don't personally have a problem with background checks. I think that we do background checks. For example, when I came to work here as an educator, teachers have to undergo background checks to make sure that it's okay for these types of people to work in the school system. So I don't have a problem with background checks. I think we need to do a better job enforcing the laws that we do have on the books to protect the citizens. No one wants to see gun violence.
With mass murders, the assailant has many rounds of bullets, but with gun control, high-capacity magazines will be banned.
Also, studies have shown that having guns in one's home gives the person a higher chance of harming family members, friends, and even themselves.
We think that gun control is an important matter that should be addressed in 2017.